The next day, Lucky wakes up and leaves the house heading to the stable to check on Spirit. She arrives and meets Prue, who starts talking to her about horses. Prue tells her that wild horses need special training and patience, and that Lucky must show Spirit she trusts him so they can get used to each other. And he becomes obedient because horses love when their owner shows confidence in them. After that, Lucky gives Spirit a potato to eat, but he refuses. Just then, Abigail arrives and hands Lucky an apple, suggesting she try feeding Spirit an apple instead. Spirit happily takes the apple from Lucky's hand, showing he loves apples, and Lucky is thrilled because Spirit finally eats from her hand. When Lucky returns home, she finds a box full of apples in front of the house. Jim had collected them from their garden. She takes the apples back to Spirit and keeps feeding him through the night. Spirit seems very happy with the care he's getting from Lucky. That night, we see Lucky sitting with her friends, Prue and Abigail. Then we cut to Hendrix, who is watching them from a distance. He observes how they treat the horse and realizes that Spirit has started to care for Lucky. The next day, Lucky rides Spirit for the first time. When Snips opens the stable door, Spirit suddenly bolts, running toward the mountains with Lucky on his back. Prue and Abigail quickly follow on their horses to rescue her. Meanwhile, Snips gets worried and rushes to tell her father, Jim, what happened. He tells him that the horse took Lucky and ran toward the mountains. Jim panics and, along with Granger, hurries off in that direction to save her. Back with Lucky, she's seen riding Spirit along the mountain cliffs, while Prue and Abigail trail behind, giving her instructions to keep her balance. When they notice the rest of the slope is broken, they tell Lucky to jump off Spirit quickly so they can catch her. Lucky jumps at the last second, and Spirit continues on alone. At that moment, Jim and Granger arrive at the scene. Jim is extremely worried about his daughter and scolds her for not listening to him. He takes her home, still upset, and tells her she's too stubborn and that he has decided to send her back to her grandfather, James. Lucky is heartbroken and tells him that he's abandoning her again. She runs to her room in tears. That night, Lucky sneaks out of the house without her father or aunt noticing. She takes some apples and walks into the forest, following the railway tracks until she meets Spirit and his herd. They gather around her as she feeds them the apples, and the horses seem happy and at peace. Suddenly, Hendrix and his gang appear, carrying ropes to capture the horses. Lucky tries to stop them, but Hendrix pushes her away. At that moment, the train arrives, and the gang begins loading the horses into the train cars and locking them in. They fail to capture Spirit. Before they leave, Lucky overhears them saying they're taking the horses to the port to smuggle them on a cargo ship. The train departs with the horses, and Lucky returns to the village with Spirit, who trusts her to help him rescue his family. She heads to Granger's stable and finds Prue there. Lucky tells her about Hendrix capturing the horses and says they must save them before they reach the cargo ship. Prue takes out a map and tells Lucky that the port is very far away and that if they follow the train, they won't make it in time. Lucky remembers the physics lessons she never liked and realizes their value now. She calculates the train's speed, distance, and travel time, and tells Prue that the train must stop every 100 miles. She points to the next station where the train will stop, a place with a large water tower. Lucky explains that if they take a shortcut through the mountains, they can reach the station before the train. She also tells them that in order to free the horses, the train has to be stationary. Just then, Abigail arrives and hears the plan. Although both Prue and Abigail are hesitant at first, they eventually agree to help Lucky so she doesn't go on this dangerous adventure alone. The three of them ride out on their horses with Lucky on Spirit. They head through the mountains until they reach a high plateau connected to another by an old, crumbling bridge. They try jumping from a closer point. When it's Lucky's turn, she and Spirit can't make it across and fall into the valley. Fortunately, neither of them is hurt. After a while, Spirit manages to climb back up again. They continue on until they reach a narrow and dangerous rocky path. Lucky trusts Spirit, and he carefully makes his way across, encouraging Prue and Abigail to follow with their horses. They all successfully cross the path and keep going until they reach a spot near the water tower, where they happily decide to camp for the night.